Namaste and welcome to our channel. Today we are going to explore the deep wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita and learn about its important lessons on yoga. But before we dive in, let's first understand what the Bhagavad Gita is. The Bhagavad Gita, also known as the Song of the Lord, is an old text written in Sanskrit. It's packed with powerful teachings about yoga, but it's not just about physical poses or breathing exercises. Instead, it talks about deep stuff like the meaning of life, how to live a good life, and why it's important to seek spiritual understanding. This book is really important in India's spiritual tradition. It was written around 300 to 400 BC. It's part of the sixth book of the Mahabharata and is attributed to the sage Vyasa. Divided into 18 chapters, it contains 700 verses, which deal with various subjects such as the self, the body and the senses, the field of nature, supreme self, rebirth, gunas or qualities, liberation, devotion, surrender, and so on. The Bhagavad Gita is a conversation between Prince Arjuna and his charioteer Sri Krishna, who is also his friend and advisor. The Gita recounts a dialogue between Arjuna, one of the 5 Pandava princes, and the Hindu deity Krishna, who serves as Arjuna's charioteer in the epic. Arjuna and his brothers have been exiled from the kingdom of Kurukshetra for 13 years and cut off from their rightful heritage by another faction of the family, which requires that Arjuna wage war against his own kinsmen, bringing his considerable military skills to bear. The story begins on the dusty plains of Kurukshetra, where Arjuna, a famed archer, is poised to fight. But just before the commencement of war, Krishna parked the chariot in the middle of the battlefield on the order of Arjuna. Arjuna fell into dilemma by seeing all his teachers, friends, kin, and believes that to fight and likely kill these men would be to commit a grievous sin, even if he were to win the kingdom back. He said he would rather beg than kill them and enjoy the kingdom upon their shattered blood without kins and kith. Arjuna was overwhelmed with grief and dejection. He throws away his bow and arrows and sinks down on the seat of his chariot. He shares his predicament with Lord Krishna. Arjuna's dejected and confused state of mind at the wrong juncture gave birth to Gita. And the rest of Bhagavad Gita is an elucidation of Krishna's response to Arjuna's despondency. Krishna reminds Arjuna of his duty as a warrior. He told, as a warrior you shouldn't waver like this because there is nothing more auspicious for a warrior than a righteous war. Krishna then talks about different types of yoga and the nature of life and destiny. The Gita is like a guidebook for life, offering lessons through stories told by Lord Krishna. It's especially important for people practicing yoga because it teaches how to balance the mind, body, and soul. The Gita covers different types of yoga like devotion, knowledge, duty, and meditation, making it a practical guide for raising awareness. In the Gita, the setting of Kurukshetra can be seen as a symbol of life's challenges. In this view, Arjuna represents an ordinary person who is searching for meaning and fulfillment in life. If we look deeper, Arjuna's conversation with Krishna is like a conversation within ourselves, deep in our thoughts. Krishna represents our inner self, the part of us that knows what's right and guides us. When we read it in this way, it's clearer how the Gita shares the important ideas of the Upanishads. That is why the Bhagavad Gita has had a big impact that goes beyond just one culture or art style. It's inspired lots of people and their ideas worldwide. Now let's dive into some little known facts about the Bhagavad Gita. Did you know that it contains 18 chapters and each chapter is called yoga, signifying a different aspect of spiritual practice? Furthermore, the Bhagavad Gita is not just a religious text, but a timeless guide to life. Its teachings transcend boundaries of time and culture, offering invaluable insights into the human condition. Now let's see, why is the Bhagavad Gita so important to yoga? The Bhagavad Gita is important for yoga because it teaches us about finding balance in life. It starts with Arjuna, a warrior, feeling conflicted about fighting in a big war. He talks to Krishna, who explains deep ideas about the soul, life's purpose, and different parts of yoga. One reason the Gita is loved is because it talks about finding a middle ground in yoga. Some other yoga teachings say you have to give up everything and live as a hermit, but Krishna says that's not necessary. Instead, he suggests karma yoga, which means doing good deeds without expecting anything in return. He says this is the best way to connect with the divine. After that, he talks about meditation and the importance of devotion. The Bhagavad Gita talks a lot about yoga. Lord Krishna, who's like a guide in the Gita, talks about different ideas like karma, doing good deeds, dharma, doing your duty, and moksha, finding peace. He says yoga isn't just about physical exercises, but it's about how we live our lives and connect with the world around us. Yoga isn't just about getting fit or healthy, it's about connecting with something deeper within ourselves. When we do yoga poses like Surya Namaskar, Sun Salutation, it's not just about exercising our muscles, but about feeling connected to the energy around us. Becoming a true yogi isn't just about learning yoga poses or becoming a yoga teacher. It's about understanding yoga on a deeper level and connecting with it spiritually. It can happen quickly or take a long time, depending on how open and receptive we are to this experience. Overall, the Gita shows us how to live a spiritual life while still being part of the everyday world. The Gita doesn't belong to any specific group of ideas. It just shares the wisdom from the Upanishads, which are ancient texts about spirituality. The main ideas of yoga come from Upanishads, which are the old Sanskrit texts from India. Instead of being a clear philosophy, the Upanishads are more like a collection of stories and insights from wise people called rishis who learned about spiritual truths through meditation. Now let's focus on some of the important philosophies mentioned in the Gita. First is Brahma. It's like the big boss, the ultimate reality. Second is Atma. It's the divine part inside each of us. Next is Dharma. It's the way things work in the universe, like a big law. Fourth is Karma. It's like a chain reaction, where our actions have consequences. Next is Samsara. It's the cycle of life and death that we are all stuck in. And last is Moksha. It's breaking free from this cycle and finding peace. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks to Arjuna about important yoga ideas like karma, dharma, reincarnation, and more. He explains how these ideas can help Arjuna find peace and happiness, to relieve him from his suffering and to attain liberation. The Gita is special because it's considered both a divine revelation and an ancient story. It tells the tale of Krishna guiding Arjuna into battle, but it's also a spiritual guide to finding inner peace through yoga. From this, we too learn how to further understand and apply these teachings within our daily lives. The Gita talks about yoga as mastering the mind's ups and downs. It says yoga isn't just about physical exercises, but about controlling the mind and finding balance. This is the central idea of the second verse of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, which defines yoga as the mastery of the fluctuations of the mind. Definitions of yoga are mentioned in the second chapter. Krishna tells Arjuna that yoga means perfect evenness of mind. That is, having a calm mind without getting too caught up in success or failure. It takes practice to reach this level of peace, which is why yoga is called skill in action. In simple words, the Gita teaches us that yoga helps us quiet our minds and connect with our true selves. All types of yoga aim for this, but they might have different ways of getting there. Now let's understand the different types of yoga in the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita talks about 4 main paths of yoga, each with its own focus and practices. Despite their differences, they all aim for the same thing, connecting with our true selves. First, there's Karma Yoga, the path of action, which is about doing selfless actions and fulfilling our duties. Krishna tells Arjuna that by dedicating ourselves to serving others without expecting anything in return, we can achieve the goal of yoga. Then there is Gyan Yoga, the path of wisdom and knowledge. Krishna explains that understanding and wisdom are more valuable than material possessions. Those who follow the path of knowledge can find inner peace and harmony. Next is Bhakti Yoga, the path of love and devotion. Throughout the Gita, we are reminded to worship the divine within ourselves. By seeking a connection with the divine, we can unite with it and find spiritual fulfillment. Remember, this divine energy is not attributed to a particular religion or faith. Instead, it's universal. Lastly, there is Raja Yoga, the path of meditation to discipline the mind. The Gita provides detailed guidance on meditation, with Krishna assuring Arjuna that with practice, the mind can be controlled. He even says that meditation is superior to other paths like knowledge and selfless service. Overall, the Bhagavad Gita teaches us that no matter which path of yoga we choose, the key is to detach from our ego and connect with our inner selves. Lord Krishna, in the 6th chapter, verse 36, assures Arjuna that anyone who is self-controlled, striving earnestly through the right means, will attain the goal. Now let's see the Bhagavad Gita's influence on various people in the West. The Bhagavad Gita has deeply influenced many prominent figures throughout history. Since the first English translation in 1785 by Charles Wilkins, the teachings and philosophies of the Gita have spread far and wide. Henry David Thoreau, for instance, described it as a profound philosophy that made modern literature seem small in comparison. Ralph Waldo Emerson was so moved by the Gita that he wrote a poem called Brahma, inspired by its teachings. J. Robert Oppenheimer, the scientist behind the first nuclear bomb, quoted the Gita when he witnessed the explosion, saying, "I am become death, the shatterer of worlds." He had been a student of the Gita and found its teachings exhilarating. Albert Einstein was also influenced by the Gita, particularly its depiction of creation. He found its ideas so compelling that he remarked, "When I read the Bhagavad Gita and reflect about how God created this universe, everything else seems so superfluous." Thoreau too was captivated by the Gita's teachings, attempting to practice yoga based on his readings of it and other Indian texts. He even incorporated a Hindu parable into his essay Walden, illustrating the power of devotion and concentration. More recently, figures like Ram Das and Mas Vidal have embraced the practical teachings of the Gita. Ram Das taught a course on the yogas of the Bhagavad Gita, seeing it as a guide to raising consciousness. Mas Vidal uses the Gita to balance the emphasis on physical yoga poses in the West, finding its teachings invaluable for spiritual growth. The Bhagavad Gita's teachings are still relevant today, especially in yoga practice, both on and off mat. At first glance, yoga poses and breathing exercises in classes might seem unrelated to detachment and finding our true selves. But if you look closer, you'll see that even these simple actions can guide us along the path of yoga. Doing yoga poses help us focus our minds. When we are fully absorbed in a pose, paying attention to our body's alignment, gaze, breath, our mind becomes steady and calm. This helps us let go of all the stresses and worries of everyday life. Breathing exercises in yoga classes also help calm our minds. Deep, slow breaths create a sense of peace and contentment. Breath control techniques, known as pranayam, help us tap into our life force and raise our awareness. The yoga from the Bhagavad Gita is still practiced today, especially in the West. More yoga schools are offering meditation classes and workshops, and books like Swami Vivekananda's Raj Yoga are popular. The Bhagavad Gita offers valuable lessons for our everyday lives. Firstly, it teaches us that every effort we make is worthwhile. By engaging in selfless acts, we can deepen our spiritual awareness and find meaning in our lives, not just in the present, but also in the future. Secondly, the Gita encourages us to use our logic and knowledge to understand the workings of our minds better. By exploring our thoughts and emotions, we can gain insight into our true nature. Thirdly, it emphasizes the importance of seeing the divine in all beings. When we recognize the inherent divinity within everyone, we can act with love and compassion towards others. Moreover, the Gita suggests that finding inner peace requires calming the mind. By shifting our focus away from external distractions, we can achieve a sense of tranquility and harmony within ourselves. Lastly, the Gita stresses the significance of regular and committed practice. It reminds us that progress comes through consistent effort and dedication to our spiritual journey. Now I'd like to mention that studying the Bhagavad Gita can deeply enrich your yoga practice and your outlook in life. To grasp its teachings, take your time and go through each chapter slowly. It's helpful to read different translations and explanations to get a complete understanding of the text. As you read, give yourself time to think about how each chapter relates to your own life and practice. Reflect on questions like, what does this chapter teach me about life and existence? What does it reveal about the universe and its workings? How does it guide me on the path of true knowledge and understanding? By pondering these questions and taking your time with each chapter, you'll gain deeper insights into the Gita's wisdom and how it can shape your journey of self-discovery and spiritual growth. Additionally, it is very important to reread this book. Rereading the Bhagavad Gita offers a great opportunity to dive deeper into its teachings and gain new insights from different perspectives. Each time you revisit the scripture, you may find yourself in a different place mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, allowing you to interpret its wisdom in fresh ways. One of the key benefits of rereading is the chance to uncover layers of meaning that you may have missed in your initial read. The Gita is a rich and complex text filled with deep truths and subtle nuances. With each reading, you may discover new depths of understanding as your own life experiences and spiritual journey evolve. Additionally, rereading the Gita from different translations and commentaries can provide diverse perspectives on its teachings. Each translator and commentator brings their own unique insights and interpretations to the text, enriching your understanding of its message. By exploring various interpretations, you can gain a more comprehensive grasp of the scripture's timeless wisdom. Furthermore, rereading allows you to reflect on how the Gita's teachings resonate with your own life and practice at different points in time. As you revisit the scripture, you may find that certain passages speak to you in new and profound ways, offering guidance and inspiration relevant to your current circumstances. This process of reflection and introspection can deepen your spiritual connection and help you integrate the Gita's teachings into your daily life. With each reading, you have the opportunity to uncover hidden gems of wisdom, gain fresh perspectives, and deepen your understanding of this timeless scripture. In conclusion, the Bhagavad Gita is not just a scripture, it's a timeless guide to living a fulfilling and meaningful life. By incorporating its teachings into your yoga practice, you can cultivate harmony, balance, and spiritual awakening. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita. Until next time, may you find peace and enlightenment on your yoga path. Stay safe, stay sattvic.